Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Quentin Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest. Today, we're going to talk about something that's taken social media by storm. Let's call it the 50th ish. 50 ish. ISH. A bunch of beautiful women taking empowerment, showing that they still have it. And let's not talk about sexuality. We're not seeing that perverted stuff. Now, some women go that route, but I'm more classy. I'd rather you show me what 50-ish really looks like from a mature standpoint. Show me the years in the experience that you're demonstrating. I call it the new empowerment of women, the golden age. Today on the show, all the way from Arizona, by way of Chicago. Got to give her props. By way of the Midwest. Now she's in Arizona. Let's welcome to the show, the one, the only, Miss Wendy Ortiz to the show. How we doing, baby girl?
Thank you for having me today.
The 50-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Before we get into that, let's tell the viewers a little bit about who Wendy is.
Professionally, tell me a little more. What kind of, you want the whole thing?
I want the whole thing.
Okay. I am a successful real estate agent in Arizona. Been a realtor for 17 years and love what I do. Been married for 1989. From then till now. We have 3 adult children who are 32, 29, and 24. Our oldest daughter is married, just got married in December. My middle daughter was married, moved back home, rebuilding her life. And my son, who's 24, is just having a lot of fun, which he should do. And we live in the northernmost section of Scottsdale, if anybody knows the area. I'm a grinder. I'm a creative. I'm all the above. And then I started this whole nom de plume, which I'm sure we'll talk about when I turn 50. And that has a whole bag that comes with that too.
We see a lot of women that have got into this 50-ish on social media. What was the reason that you went down that road? Was life becoming routine? I don't mean boring. I mean routine. Was a sense of adventure not there anymore? Because usually, when you're a high achiever, when you and age starts to come in, we're always looking for something else. But in some cases, opportunities become limited resources as we age as well. What was it like for you before you decided to open up, and how did the door open up for you to say, I'm a create a brand around the 50-ish legacy, so to speak?
I would really, it was a place to be heard by who I don't know, right? And I was going through something in my life at that time that felt I was just in this space where there weren't support groups or situations, or my friends were all kind of coming at the same time, but really nobody was on social media back then. But like, I was doing it for my real estate, and I thought, and I was nobody was even on social media in their 50s. I grabbed right into TikTok. All of the platforms. But I was as a secret agent over there, because it wasn't okay to be yourself and to speak your truth and to be you 9 years ago. And now it's very, very applauded and very welcomed. And so it's a different animal now. But back then I needed a place to talk, and it just sort of, it's evolved and it's been fluid, but it's turned into something, totally grassroots, organic, and super enjoyable.
You mentioned, without getting too deep, what was some of the things that you was going through, and what was about that age category? And the reason I'm asking this is because I need to take the women down your mindset. I need to take the young girls down your mindset. I need to take the mothers, the newly mothers, like your newlywed women, I need to take them into the mindset of a woman of your caliber. What were you going through? Because you're successful, you're married to a professional man as well. Life is not always great because you're financially situated and grounded. It still comes with um, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah. And Harry. And yeah. So thank you for asking that. It really, I would like to say to like, if we're talking to younger women or even women of our, in our area, at our era, is like, poof, you're 50. And I knew I was leading up, I knew I was starting to layer in my personal unhappiness. That was, I was drinking too much. My brother had passed away at 50 of abuse, like drug and alcohol abuse. I was not an abuser, but I want to quickly build the stage to tell you where it started at the 50. My 50 is a mind FUCK page. I was
Right.
so unhappy. Go ahead.
No, I said go ahead. Finish telling the story.
I was, you know, knee deep in raising children. So busy, busy, busy. We're so busy. And then poof, you're 50. Then my dad was diagnosed and dying. And I had been building up to, the puzzle pieces were coming together as far as my personal unhappiness in my marriage, with my drinking. Just started, things started like, I started looking at my life like, what? Wait, what? No. And then when my dad got sick and passed, I was like, that was my catalyst to start making change and talk about it, because I thought I can't be the only one that feels this way. And I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't all the labels. I just was so unhappy on the inside. And it's so funny. As soon as I started this page and started to speak about it, God, that was therapeutic more than anything else someone can do for me. But I remember a gal messaged me on Facebook, and it really hurt my feelings. But she goes, "You look so much." She didn't know about this. It was on Facebook because I'm not there. And she said, "You used to always look so angry, and that has never been me." And that was like a dagger in my heart, because I'm poly positive, always running around the cheerleader. And I was like, wow. I mean, I don't know if it was her perspective only or others too, but she said my whole face structure had changed.
Well, maybe it was a facade. Maybe it was your alter ego based on your environment, based on the situation that you was in. And that's the role that you had to play.
Yes. And I'm a very, very, I'm a self, I'm very aware, and I become more and more aware as you become more aware. So if something's making me unhappy or sad, I'm like, I'm changing that. So that was me. And that was where everything turned over. I just knew that I wasn't going to live the rest of my life like that.
How did anybody in your family, you're married, and I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of men are not probably in touch with their spouse. I mean, we seen what the impact of COVID did. Nobody really knew each other, even though they shared the same roof. Let's get real. A lot of dysfunctions really escalated to its higher peak. How was that for you during that particular moment of your life?
Well, it did result in me leaving him. Um, that was one of the components. So I did finally have enough, and I don't know how much we'll talk about or not talk about today, but that was part of it. And I did finally leave him about 2018, right before COVID hit hard. Um, and I'm back, and he's, a lot has changed, but I was done, done, done. That was one of the chapters I needed to be done with. So that's a big story in itself, but we decided to work on it.
You mean you guys decided to work on the situation at hand?
Yes, because
What were
before
some of the
that,
issues that had to be worked on? I'm just curious.
verbal
And I'm
abuse.
not trying to throw Wendy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to throw you up under the bus. I'm trying to get it to where people can understand that even during this particular moment of COVID, you was able to sit down with him and say, okay, I realize I got some, which I'm going to say, you was willing to come to the table, but this is the trick out part of this question during this reinsertion of both of you guys.
Yes.
When did you realize that maybe you had some shit that you needed to work on? Because remember, the lady in Facebook said you was always angry.
Yes.
But when
Yes.
you came back to the table, when you came back to the table during after the COVID thing, what did you learn about yourself and what did he learn?
Um, Many things, but what I do need to say was, while his behavior created a lot of problems in our home and our family and our life, I had a culpability in perpetuating it and not doing things sooner. It's hard to articulate in a quick moment, but I did not know how bad things were until I was enlightened. I was like, wait a minute. You know, there was some things in there, like we talked about, the drinking. I was numbing myself because I was so unhappy for years. I wanted to keep my family together. And then poof, again, you're 50. I'll often refer to the poof, you're 50, because it's like this moment where you're like, wow. And everything sort of to that moment comes very clear. So I needed to make some decisions to fix myself, and he needed to make decisions to fix himself. And it resulted in us staying together and him being the better man today. But it could have gone the other way. But my mom always said to me, when you're done, you'll know. And she was right.
What did you, let me put this where this makes sense. At the end of the day, what self inventory did you come out with that you really didn't know outside of the liquor numbing you? And why
Which
do
I
you
didn't
think?
know then either, but I have to say I didn't know it then. I can look back now and admit that openly to everybody.
Let me go here with this too.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, it was when my brother passed is when I started to say, okay. And then I looked at myself. But uh I gotta really think about that answer for a minute. I just felt like it was either gonna end or it was gonna get better. There was nothing in between. And I had been setting the tone with him for maybe a year before. I said, one more blow up, one more. And I remember him saying, I don't know if I can do it. He probably wouldn't remember that statement right now. But I remember him saying, I don't know if I can do it. He was so full of his own issues and rage and, his own self trauma. And so I decided to go work on me, which brought me to that final decision in the right path. I got the right guidance, I waited and worked on myself for like the year prior. So let's say like I started my page at 50, and then probably like 54, I really dug into fixing myself and getting counseling and really putting the mirror up and realizing that um, in my life, I've let people, working on why I let people do that, because I don't do that to people and I just have my own work to do. Does that make sense?
What do you mean when you let people do that? Do what? Put you
Be
in a category, labelize you. What
no,
do you mean?
be abusive, basically. Um, like what part of me allowed that to continue, not only with my husband, but people before that. Like now I won't do that, right?
Let me go here. Did you have the self awareness or did you create the page to develop self awareness and to use as a treatment plan for yourself?
Yes, that latter statement that you said is a perfect way to describe it because I did not know, number one, how unhappy I was. And number two, I didn't know the blueprint. Now, today, if I were to be, let's say, single and start dating, I would never allow that treatment. Now, the beauty of being in your 50s ish time is the enlightenment that you earned, and the self confidence that comes. And I really had to work on my self confidence that I didn't know I did not know I was being abused. I did not know I didn't have self confidence. I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm mad at myself for being taking that long to have that light bulb switch on, where I was like, oh my goodness. And I work on it every day today in different ways.
When you say abuse, what do you mean abuse? Is it verbal? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is
No,
it
verbal, just verbal, just verbal. But that would start from my brother and my mom. We
Mhm.
go back. Then my husband. And these are people that some of the most important people in my life. I look back and I'm like, my daughter and I talk a lot about like, why me? All I was doing was playing with my dolls and stuff. I wasn't doing anything, right? I was just trying to be nice. But I know so much more about that now. And I'm talking to you about patterns that I brought into my adulthood, and I didn't even know that when I went to go do the work, I was like, oh my goodness, that's what that is.
But they say in relationships or just in general, verbal will destroy you quicker than the physical. And
Hmm.
it's much more tougher to overcome.
Yeah.
How what was what was the everybody has triggers in different areas uh of certain things. With yours being verbal, how do you how do you deal with the triggers? Like what were some of the triggers that right now you still have a difficult time dealing with?
No, now
It's like even the voice can trigger something.
now it's much different. I as soon as it happens, I'm like, if it happens. Now my mom is 88. She kind of has an auto mouth, and if that just happens, it's just there. So I'm dealing with that in my heart and head right now, because you're forever a little girl with your mom, but that's who my mom is. So I'm dealing with it still in that arena. But so let's just say my husband is having a spicy moment. I go, I don't think so. Like, and I never said that once before. I didn't even know. I was probably too afraid to say something. Does that make sense too?
What about your dad? Close to your dad?
So sweet. My sweet dad. Oh, so sweet. You know how they say you marry your father? I married my mother. I mean it.
So you're saying there's regrets?
Well, there were. I don't have any now, but there were. I really, my number one goal, and I will say this to his face, my number one reason for staying at the time was I did not want my family to break up. Good, bad, or ugly. I wanted to keep this unit. And I think a lot of women do that. Some people say, oh, just get divorced. Well, I don't know that that's the better answer. And again, he did come out the better man. Had he not, this would be a different conversation. He knows that too. So I think that I was prepared for whatever was coming my way at that stage. And I was ready for it. And I was ready for it.
But now you're emotionally mature, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Right.
And I hear that all the time. Why not just get a divorce? But are you setting your family up for failure in the process of if you had stayed there because they're not stupid.
Right.
They
Oh,
see
I know.
they see
Oh,
dysfunction. They may not bring it to your attention. Like you just said, the lady from out of the blue saw your stuff and goes, "I thought you was blah 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 blah." People
I
don't
know.
all. This is what I would tell people. People don't always tell you what they think. They just make sure you don't advance.
Yeah.
They don't open up opportunities for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I loved my children more than I loved myself. Since then, I have apologized to them for, I felt I needed to apologize for not protecting them but then they're all at an age now where they're contending, like what you kind of said was, I see now how it's affected them at this age. and he has too. So he has also apologized to them in his way. I mean, it's harder for men, I think.
Mhm.
'Cause men have a different, not all. I want to say, like you said, emotional intelligence. I'm very much into that. He's not. He's just like, what I do, So like, I had to show him, and he's seen how the kids have had some issues in their life, and it's not to say it's just your fault, but it was rooted in a lot of that. So we've done a lot of healing as a family this past 5, 6 years.
You live in Scottsdale. I have some clients that moved from Indianapolis to Scottsdale. Very beautiful place. And, money, success is out there. You know, you wouldn't suspect that from you because a lot of people hide pretty good things that they go through. You pretty much did a 360 to come open. How are you being received in Scottsdale, especially being a realtor and being so transparent with what you've gone through?
Yeah, again, this was a hidden world until Instagram started doing suggested friends via your phone number, right? So I don't, people will stop me and go, "Oh, I love, thank you," and this and that. I don't, and I've also heard in the past, I've heard people go, "Oh," when I first started, like, "Oh, I saw your video." That was the receipt that I had received in the beginning. So, and really at this point, I don't care. That's the beauty of it. I need to, if one person listens to it and says, that's me, or I understand. And so many people are, especially in Scottsdale where everything is smoke and mirrors. I'm all for being transparent, and it is, I am who I am now. So I don't know that I would have shared the alcohol or the abuse stories 10 years ago. Now I'll tell everybody. Okay.
How has the 50ish um, social media changed your life? Like, what are people saying to you?
It's changed my life in a way of allowing me to express myself. Number one. Number two, people are like, you're amazing. They say a lot of things. And the people that I've got a couple people that have messaged me privately and said, you've changed my life. I don't know, like, how cool is that? But we have to remember that, like, the Midwest is so much different than the West Coast as far as lifestyle. And I know that, you know what? I mean, I don't know at this point. There are so many women, like you said, that are 50ing, and or and more so, there's so many more women that are older on social media now that there's an explosion happening. So I don't know if I'm in a space of, people stop me on the street. I was at a restaurant a few weeks ago. She's like, "Are you?" And it's cute because they get like, I don't mean cute. That sounded condescending, but it's so sweet. Like, I'm like, and I'm usually in my workout clothes if I'm not with clients. I look super gross. And I'm like, how did you recognize me? And I just think that's like such a wonderful compliment. And, I just love that we have this army of people that go, I see you and I understand. I have a friend I'm talking to right now. Her name's Heather. I just did a podcast on, my friend just put both of his mom and his wife's mom into assisted living. And my friend Heather said, "Oh my God." And it touched her. So
Hmm.
we're just creating a community of something of, and I don't know how old you are, but there's a community right now where we're like, wait, whether it's dating, sex, professionally, losing your job right now, looking for new careers, our parents, our kids, adult kids, finances. There's so many things that are so wrapped up in this decade
Hmm.
that is such the effery of like, I talked to a friend of mine yesterday, and she said, "Hey, just so you know, my husband's got. I think he has an aneurysm, like a looming aneurysm,
Hmm.
and then he lost his job." And I was like, "This is encapsulates what my page is about. Is all the stuff in the 50s that is like, what's next? Like, she's like, if you can." He took a $50,000 pay cut to take this other job, and we're struggling, and I'm seeing a lot of that. This is a it's a ball of so many really really big life changes, I think. This 10-year decade. I know the next one will have its own, but this
Right.
10 years from 50 to 60, I think is one of the most unique periods in history and in change that we've ever seen.
We hear about the good stuff that's on there, but what has been some of the most shocking things that people have been saying to you that can almost rock you to your core, where you have to really sit back and say, I've thought about that, or I've heard about that, but I don't know how to really address it socially.
Well, I don't know if I have the right answer for that. If someone messaged me privately, I did have one, if this is what you're referring to, I had one friend that said I was pathetic and, lowering myself. And I was like, what? And I just blocked her out of my space. I mean, it was weird. It was weird. And I've had like 2 or 3 of those in this many years. Um, Trolls. I just don't, people will come at you with what's going on with them. So I see that. I see that coming from a mile away, and
Mhm.
I just don't allow them in my space. Sometimes I'll engage, and then I cut it off. Is that the right answer you're looking for?
You open up this box right here. So when you do engage, how do you engage? Because remember we talked about the trigger?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
So how did you engage when you did engage?
Um
You open up that worm, not me.
okay. I would tell you that it's very often a man says something really rancid, and but very, very seldom these days, but before. And I will just say something like, hey, I'd lower your tone because I can see your vagina. That's what I'll say. Because I'm not, there's no need for it to be attacked. And again, it doesn't happen in 2026 like it happened in 2022, 3, 2 and 3, 21, 2 and 3, when it first COVID, when I really got on TikTok.
Mhm.
And then I learned to stop engaging. I have to share a story, if I may.
Go ahead.
Um, there is a person who's quasi well known on social media, and truth be told is I know nothing about the man, but I know the general caricature from what I've seen online. He works at a large company that, if you know the 10X Corporation, that's
Mhm.
the involvement. And I became that person who I just told you about for a split second. And I was a keyboard warrior, which I don't do. I don't do. And such an amazing story. I said something rude to make fun of him, which I'm so embarrassed to tell you guys this, but I think it's important. Um, he messaged me privately and he goes, did you say this about me? Now, to step back for a second, his real estate agent was named Wendy. He thought I was she. And I said, I did. I did say that about you. And he was so lovely and so gracious. And somehow we got in a conversation about my mom. And he set me up with a free pair of $9,000 hearing aids for her. And I did a video apologizing, and it's long buried, but I was like, I learned a huge lesson in, I can't believe I did that. Number one. Number two, people have done it to me, and I learned a good lesson in I was pretty mad at myself for that. I was really surprised I got caught up in that.
So what was the lesson that you learned?
Oh, to not comment negatively. You don't know the whole story behind what people are saying, doing, posting. And again, now 2026 later,
Mhm.
social media is so different. Like now that you see people doing rage bait and things like that. Rage bait was not on TikTok like it was when I started. There's a place here called Pool Boy Tacos, and I believe they're using a rage bait campaign to get attention. 2 times more clicks and 3 times more shares than positive stuff on social media, even though 70% of consumers know that social media and news is not true.
Hmm.
So it's very interesting. Just learned a lesson in today's world of social media, and how dare I make a comment? Like, I became that person for a minute. But it was a lesson for me to never do that again.
What's your end game with switching over? Like, to the 50ish brand. I call it a brand because there's so many women that are now doing it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, what's the end game? Like, what are you guys really from you? Not the, I don't know what everybody else is doing, but what is the end game for you with amplifying the 50ish movement?
It's a really good question. I've been thinking a lot about that as I'm approaching a big birthday, and I don't think I'm going to switch it to the 60 number. I haven't decided yet. I don't know that I have an end game. I think, like with so many things in life, it will show its way, whether it ends or it continues. Because I think what we're going through in this demographic,
Mhm.
50s and 60s, all there's a lot of effery going on in life, and changes. And so every every very often I go, I have nothing to talk about. And then something really great will come into my atmosphere or my heart and my head. I'm like, oh, that's really awesome. And so I don't know. I mean, I think for a lot of women, and I don't want to generalize, but I really feel like a lot of women have been shoved down and quieted their whole lives. And I think women are now speaking, and it almost makes me want to cry because I know that to be true. Whether it be, a man goes, "Ugh, she's talking again. What? Are you done yet?" Or whether it be sexually or just having conversation. We have been told to shut up for a long time. And I think we're tired of that.
Okay, well, I'm not going to tell you to shut up on this episode. So, give me three things that you really would like to talk about if you had a bigger platform. And let's use the shut up thing. So, let's use that. You get your chance now to tell me what are three things that you wish you didn't have to shut up about that would make a difference going into your 60s.
Um, and I'm generalizing. I'm generalizing the genders at this moment because I do try to speak with men and women on my page. Please, and by all means, if you have suggestions, send them over. Men are very, very stoic overall, so I do have some subject matter on there. But I'd like to say, um, sexuality. There's a great video, and I'll have to share it with you privately. A woman talks about sexually for women from 17 to now, like sexually to cure that space of what we haven't gotten for so long, to be heard and loved in a way that we have needed and never gotten. And I do put a sticker on this by saying generationally, this is our generation of relationships. And this is not to say that all men or women do this. I think a large is so many messages like me too, me too, me too, me too, me too, me too, me too. And I think I'd like to almost say four, like aging gracefully and not making people afraid to age and be healthy with aging. That's a huge part of my platform is discovering new ways to age healthy. I see my mom who bends over to pick things up. I'm like, Mom, squat, let's strengthen your feet. So the health piece is a big part of, I think the biggest part of my platform probably is aging, aging healthy. So I can be as vibrant and as strong as I can for as long as I can. I don't want to go down easily. I want to go down with a fight.
What do you think about a lot of women? It almost appears as if this 50ish movement is more about trying to get validations for looks, glamour, and sexuality more than it is a message of movement.
Well, think about that. If they're screaming to come out with the three things you mentioned, that tells me that they have been suppressed. Because remember, women are called gross, wrinkly, saggy, ew. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't wear that. You shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't have said that. And I don't think that men are spoken to like that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
men, men
yeah,
probably just don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Probably just don't talk about it. Oh, they don't talk about it, nor do a lot of men go for validation. And I think you're dealing with two different scenarios here. You're dealing with the man's alter ego that can care less,
Mhm.
but you're dealing with a woman that has to have that well, I don't want to say this the wrong way to women. I don't want to get them offended, but let's look at it for the real picture. A lot of the women need that validation. That's how when you grow up, boys are treated one way with blue, and girls are treated with beautiful colors like the pink. And you follow those paths and stuff. So you probably won't see as much of that with men versus now on social media. You see a lot of that validation, that competition with other women, uh, from the gym pics to is you're right. It's probably a message that they're trying to send but don't know how to send it. What's your take on that?
I strongly disagree on the word validation because I have a two points I'd like to make. I have a good friend of mine who is in his mid 40s and he likes them in their 20s. And he thinks that women that post are only there for validation from men, but then yet that's how he's met a lot of his young women. And I find it so ironic. Um, I think, and my daughter, I have an older daughter who has from the minute she was born has always been my sexy time. She has always been sexy and sultry, and she's good at it. And so I think just some women are are sexy or sultry, and then somebody goes, she's just looking for validation. But what about the woman who's talking about other things and speaking her own strengths, whether it's talking about marriage counseling or talking about their pet rescue, or like what some women are sultry just by nature and
Mhm.
they can't help it. Like my daughter, when she takes my picture, she's like, my God, mom, you have like this alter ego. I'm so different in person than I might look on my photos. She's like, your whole face structure changes when I take photos. But I'm also very, very shy. So she'll go, oh, for God's sakes, loosen up. I'm like, I'm trying.
Mhm.
So there are just people that just that's who they are. And you can tell, like, I mean, I'd say demographically too, the girls today are just so stunning. Why not? Why not? You'll never look as beautiful as you do today. None of us.
Now you're getting ready to age.
Yeah.
How are you preparing that mentally? Because let's get real.
Yeah.
Women look at age a lot differently than men. You're getting ready to get another number. How is that transition going to be for you? Because it doesn't go down, it just keeps going up.
Yeah, I'm scared. Not scared. I'm just scared. And I say that like not in a physical way, but I know the next 10 years is a big, I plan on living into my 90s easily, but I don't know. I mean, so I'm nervous. I see my mom who's healthier than a horse and will probably chew both of us up and spit us out. But I see her, she's 88, she's changing, so she's great. When I say scared, it's probably a poor word. I'm also super excited. But I will say this last couple years, physically, there's just things are just have their own mind on my body. So I feel amazing in many respects, and I'm disheartened in some. Like today at the gym, I had my ass handed to me. So did everybody else, in my defense. And I sat there for a second, and I was like, dang, like that age thing popped in my head for a second. But everybody else, it was a tough class today. So I think it's a multi-layered question. I'm super excited, and I'm also a little scared for what life is going to just be. And can I work? My friend was telling me yesterday, the one I told you about that I saw that lost his job. She said with his and I think it was, what is it like when it can go at any time and travel in your body, like a stroke? Is that an aneurysm?
Aneurysm.
Yeah. So he's a road bike rider uphill right now. Oh my gosh, it just makes me, I understand how he must be feeling because he can no longer do that. He cannot get his heart rate over 216. I think that's what it was. Like he cannot bike like he used to. And I was like, gulp, like, because I love those hard workouts. So when I say to you about being scared, I'm, when life says to me, you can no longer do that, I'm going to be like, okay, that bumps me out.
Mhm.
Thought of it.
You definitely got that beast mindset, and I want to thank you for taking time to come on to the
Thank
show
you.
and shed a
Yeah.
little light on the 50ism movement. What's next for you?
It's a good question. I'm in an itch for change. I don't know. It's new, and so what's next for me is I do a lot of solo travel, so I'm really been hitting that. I'm living my very best life. So when it comes my way, I'm doing it. I'm kind of on the press. I'm trying to create a larger real estate portfolio, so I'm looking to um, perhaps move from here. We've been here many years and move closer into Scottsdale. And I might add something new to my business portfolio too, which is a big, it could be like 220 days of travel a year. Talks with that right now. So we'll see.
Wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
the sky's the limit,
Yeah.
and age is just a number. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to do that because you already put it out there. You're going to go to 90 years old
Mhm.
and beyond and keep doing the things you're doing. You know what? Wendy, thank you so much for taking time to come on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe, like, share, follow, click that button. Like I said so many times, all it takes is one click to make a difference in your life or change somebody else's. This has been another, and I do mean another, exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.